Now, as I pointed out before, Moses himself said something about the age you should live to, I guess, right? Now, he gave an age of 120. Thing is, you got to the time you're conceived, right, to the time you reach 120, according to Moses' law, or Torah. Now, you might find it interesting, though. There are these four different ways to say the word girdle in the Hebrew. And today we're going to go over those ways and distinguish them from the Greek zone, or zine, depending on how you want to spell it, right? And even the angels with the 7 last plagues, right? Though they have Stephy, right? Instead of Thethos, right? And Jesus has Mastois, right? Because he's the all in all, right? He's above all, through all, and in you all, right? God don't mean 50-50. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, it does. You're 50-50 his image. Both the male and the female. That's what men are carnal about. And why they crucified the Lord anyway. Of lords and King of kings. Now, if you want to play blind, dumb, and stupid, and you can't speak the truth, because you're unworthy to, right? You are. And that's the problem, right? So, you're like, well, it sounds like you're condemning us for not wanting to see this. No. I'm trying to simply tell you, and you won't let me, right? See, even if I'm a man, Jesus wasn't. No. I'm not Jesus either, right? I'm 2,000 years after Jesus. Now, I can be in the spirit of Jesus, yeah. So can a woman. No. So can a true hermaphrodite, by the way. 3 could go to Jerusalem instead of 2, by the way. Or 4. You never know with God, right? But the problem ain't, again, us who know the truth. It's you who won't confess it. Right. Yourselves, right? See, if Adam and Eve sinned, all born after them are born in sin, right? You don't have a choice, right? You do not understand what it was like to even reproduce in Eden, though it's got to be similar somehow. And there's no point to make us two without having sex, right? If we could do it somehow asexually, we wouldn't need to divide, right? Either, right? The woman would still be in the man, right? And it's carnal minds, right, who will not see this, not spiritually minded people. That's the truth too, right? You're worshiping your flesh, which is nothing, right? Your outward design, your comeliness, right? You have comeliness, but Christ does not. Why? You're better looking as a male or a female than Jesus is as both to most people too, right? If you see something that has a beard and boobs, you're gonna freak out. Maybe that's why God's trying to work with even transgender people too, because they're closer to His image. Not you. That's why you're so offended by it too. Satan is too, right? But all they're doing is showing you a simple truth. You can all dress up in drag if you want to. That's not the problem, right? It's the condemnation, right, of people who feel different in the spirit, right? Because the spirit is trying to tell you through them is both, right? That's why you don't understand them doing all that. Because Moses did make a law to say women should wear clothes pertaining to a woman, which don't mean you can't wear jeans or things like that, or slacks, right? Or you gotta go around in a dress, or gotta wear a burqa even, right? God does not put restrictions on women. Men do. But men are adding to the commandment of God their own commandments, right? God's commandments are simple and direct and to the point, right? First, thou shalt have no other gods before me, right? Not because he's a jealous God, but because Satan is trying to be jealous for God, right? Exactly. And when you're not following God, there's only one other being you can follow, the devil. See, it's not so much that there's only two in heaven, because that's ridiculous, right? You can't number the angels in heaven any more than you can number the sands of the sea or the stars in the sky. That means they have a spiritual way to make themselves and multiply. Right. But it's not like we do it. They don't have sex per se, right? But if you're an asexual organism, right, in the earth anyway, and you know God is seen by the things that it made, right? It made asexual organisms, right? These are single cell life forms that can multiply itself by simply dividing into two, right? And the same organism produces the same organism, right? Right. It has the same parts of the body, right? That organism has as well. That's why they're also hermaphroditic creatures like snails and earthworms, right? But I got a question for you, and you got to think about that. And this ain't about Marcel the Shell either, right? Uncle Marcel. But how does a shell for a snail be made, right? Don't something not only have to make the snail, but its shell. One is a living life form, right? Right. One is something that's sort of like a house for that life form, right? To live in. Because if it exposes itself, right, birds and other animals like lizards, right, will try to eat it. You like some escargot with your snails? I don't. Never ate escargot. But that's my preference, right? If you want to try it, try it. I don't condemn you for what you eat or drink either. I don't judge it if you eat pork or you don't eat pork, right? Because if I judge you, I gotta judge myself first, right? But if I don't judge you, right, and forgive you, I'm forgiven even if I eat pork. Do you understand? Alright, if you're a vegetarian, great for you. You're trying to live more healthier, I guess, right? Than those who eat meat, right? But if I eat meat, but I don't judge you for being a vegetarian, right? And people eat meat too, right? You can't judge me either, I know. And I'm not here to destroy you as a vegetarian, nor can you destroy me if I eat meat and vegetables, right? Kind of do both, right? Okay, but the real problem comes in because you learn things apart from the Bible. The Bible is not written, like Moses knew everything. For instance, he never mentioned what we call today little people, dwarves, or whatever, right? Short people. If you remember the old song by the same guy who did Toy Story songs, right? It goes, short people got nobody. Right. Just a little sampling there. Short people got no reason to live. And I hope he's kind of showing you how they're treated. That's kind of right. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't mind little people. Mm-hmm. Right. I know that's a result of the fall as well, but it ain't their fault. See, short genes, for some reason, are dominant over tall genes. Right. If you have one short gene, for instance, I'm 5'7", and I have a 6'1" gene, right, say my granddad's side, or yeah, and I have a 5'8" gene from Bobby's side, I guess, right, we're just saying, right, I'm going to be the 5'7", not the 6'1", right, though I feel like I should be taller when growing up, right, for some reason. I was trying to play basketball, but I never got taller than 5'8", right? Mm-hmm. So I kind of let that dream go, but then I took up karate when I was around 13, right? And that's the time the founder of Shidoru started training himself in karate, right? Also, even though Bruce Lee had studied into different masters, that's the age he met Yip Man, right? Coincidentally, my name is Shane Lee. Now, Bruce Lee is more of a stage name than his real name. You know that too, right? Right. I bet we couldn't even pronounce his real name, being that we're English, right? Or English-speaking folk. Anyway. Just try to make this more interesting for you. But everywhere the word for belt is used, whether it's abnate, it says simply a belt. Girdle. All right. A zor. Again, a belt. Girdle. This one even means a hand, right? Right. Alright. Now, like I told you before, though, usually a girdle is over here, not here, where Jesus' girdle is, right? I'm trying to prepare you for sitting here. If you don't know he has a girdle about his chest, or why, you're worshiping the wrong image of God. See, you don't have a choice. Neither did Jesus, by the way. If you're both, right, and yet neither. But that don't mean you can't call someone both a man. Nor does it mean you can't call him a woman, right? But the truth is he's both, right? See, that fits all the scriptures, both the masculine references and the dual references, right? When I say don't make graven images, male or female, and those that make them are like unto them, right? Your image is not the image of God, right? And that's from Moses and David, right? And Baal, or Balaam, And Ashtoreth, or Ashtaroth, right? Because see, that both is a land, right? I know. And it's also a goddess, right? And I ain't saying women aren't goddesses, but they're more like demi-goddesses compared to Jesus, right? He's the God and goddess, right? As one. He's greater than us. Who do you think would have a problem with that? Emperor Constantine, being that he was raised pagan, right? He never heard of such stuff, right? Now, I'm trying to also give him a mild excuse as to why he picked the Orthodox belief over the Gnostic belief anyway. Right. That does give him a little bit of an excuse, right? But the thing is, that excuse, if you read the Bible for yourself, right, don't stand, right? Every King James Version says the same thing about Jesus' chest, right? It's paps, right? They're to gird, right? Now, if you have bigger breasts than mine, and you're in Israel, only two people, two witnesses, right? John, the one baptizing you in water, and when you're in water, you gotta take off your outer garment, right? I know. That's the thing about baptism, right? Now, you don't strip down naked either, but you have on what's called your indoor garment, as with Christ and the disciples. What, you think they went around naked? No. Even in private, right? You didn't go around naked back then. No. You think European beaches are bad, huh? Right? Christians, right? Well, again, I've been to one. It's kind of okay. It's not a big deal to them, right? But if you make it a big deal, you're the problem. You're the problem. Because see, Christ, from the beginning of all the creations, made all animals without shame, right? And like I told you, Adam named them before the woman was taken out of him, right? Don't you think that would take a while to name every creature that was made? Plus, some of them are sea creatures, right? And there were rivers there, I guess. I don't know. Maybe there wasn't even salt water back then, only fresh, right? Whoops. Now, if Satan died, though, could the salt, and there are abysses in the sea. Hello? A bottomless pit or an abyss, right, is where the demons are cast into. Right. An abyss, you've heard of that, right? Right. All right. So, the whole point is, though, if you lie in one thing, right, you've undone the gospel of Christ, right? You're not telling the people the truth about him. And who can tell you you're wrong if you don't listen? Now, I'm not saying people don't make mistakes either. Because it's easy to do. Now, 2290, right, is the next place you find a belt. For the waist, apron, armor, girdle, And here is King O Ra. That's the feminine form, by the way. And it can be pronounced several other ways too. King or, Kangaroo. Almost like kangaroo, Captain Kangaroo. All right. Now, all of these girdles, though, like I said before, aren't girt around the chest, but around the waist, right? And the last one is K-Sheb, right? And you find it in 2005. A girdle strap as being interlaced curious girdle. This probably has to do with the ephod, right? The chest plate. Now, but like I said before, Jesus' girdle is here. I know you want me to kill myself, but I'm not suicidal just because they say I'm schizophrenic, right? Either, right? So that's here. His girdle is girded, right? Now, if you're a man, you don't need to girt there either, do you? No. But if you're both, right, and you're in a male-female dominant world even, right? Even the females have more rights, and Jesus is a hermaphrodite. You ever think of that, right? Oh. Back then, hermaphrodites were only recognized by one group of people, and that's the Greeks, right? Maybe that's why they had an easier time accepting Jesus over the Jews. I don't know. Right. But they're Greek god Hermaphroditus. Right. And like I said, down here with the girdle is normal for a male or a female. But up here ain't normal for either or, unless you're transgendered. Right. Like I said. And you don't want to deal with it, right? Either way. See, our job ain't to judge each other. Guess who taught us to judge? Satan. But our job is to tell the truth, right? Now, Paul said this: I would have all men saved and Kai brought to the knowledge of the truth. Kai and he was a character on that Bug show. I forgot the name. Lex or something like that, right? But anyway. Kai means and in the Greek. See, Jesus ain't male or female. He's male and female. And what about you? Now, he's either Jew or Greek, bond or free, and have the bound his chest, right? With the girdle. And this is something for you Christians too. If you think he's a man, yet he's not a man, you're waiting for the wrong God, right? Sorry. But you are, I know. And if you're only hearing it from me, right, you're doing exactly what John said you would do. No. You're being unworthy to tell the truth, right? But do you think he's telling you that because he wants you to be worthy? Or stay unworthy? Exactly. Or is he telling you the problem? I know. Most men are acting unworthy to tell the full detail of Jesus to other men, right? Because they can't handle the truth. And see, the thing is, Jack, right? Back and do it again. You go back, Jack, do it again. We'll turn it round and round. Uh-oh. You also might be creating a loophole. But only till the end. No. Every beginning has a true end, right? And that's because of our sin nature now. There must come an end, right? But then you have to also go back to the beginning, right? To replenish something means it was once full of life. Right? And it still took God 6 days or so to replenish it, right? And he had to make all over again everything that he made in the beginning, right? Get it? Right. If I have to replenish something, it was full. So something destroyed it, and now I'm having to go back and do it all over again. Right? Like the song, right? You are creating a loop when you follow Satan, right? And we're all human, so he can trick you in many ways. I know. But he's just tricking you too. I mean, that's part of the point, ain't it? Right? You're being tricked into not hearing what you're supposed to hear from the scriptures. See, Paul didn't say some of the scriptures you can believe in. He said all scriptures, all scriptures. Even where Job said he is not a man as I am. And you overlook that? Job was a man. But he also said God is not a man as he is. So did Moses, right? Even if he was a true hermaphrodite himself, he's not as the Lord, right? Made before everything, too, that was made, right? So you can't replace the firstborn with the secondborn either, right? One is before the other, right? Now that's why sometimes the Gnostics go off on a little tangent sometimes. But they're also talking about reproduction, conceiving, right? You need a female to conceive a child, right? That's why they go into androgyny later on, too. Now, if you just start reading it book by book in the Dag-Hammadi library, either way, that's how you normally read a book. Or you start with a certain book like the Apocrypha of John, right? It'll tell you certain things about Jesus and the aeons and the angels, right? That apply towards them all. I know. Because it's getting deeper in the water than some people want to go, right? Now, Jesus didn't say you couldn't get into the kingdom even if you're 30, 60, or 100-fold, right? I ain't cutting you short there either, right? But if you're 30, right, or 60, you're between cold to lukewarm, I know. And then from 60 on is 100%, you're starting to get truly hot for the Lord, right? Now, about 68, though, is the perfect degrees for the earth, right? It's not too hot, not too cold, just right. Like Goldilocks. See, they say there's a Goldilocks range, too, for the earth. I know. We were once in it, scientists. What happens, though, if we start going in or out? What's making us come in or out? Our sins, right? With Satan. Now, it's not as though God's keeping score, right? But he is. Satan's trying to keep score. That's why when you do the smallest thing wrong, like, say, steal some pennies from your uncle or get a sexy card from a convenience store because you see a sexy woman on the card, right? And you take it because you want to see the woman and think of her later on and have something in your hand while you're thinking with the other hand. Know what I mean?